So today we're going to look at the banyan tree of India, the great banyan tree of India, and we're going to see how it exemplifies the ruling nature. Now when you look at a tree, there's three main components: the roots, the branches, and the leaves, and each of these exemplifies the three components of the warrior, the wizard, of the will. The roots very vividly express the nature of the will, the trunk and the branches, the nature of the wizard, and the leaves, the nature of the warrior. We're going to see how the banyan tree vividly displays all three of these, but today we're just going to focus on the ruling will. So when you look at the roots, they're hard to see. If you've noticed, you can see the structures of the roots going into the ground, but it's very difficult to see the actual roots because that's the nature of the will. You're this supporting underground structure that's very difficult to see. The thoughts that you create as the will create the foundation, but they're pretty much buried. Nobody can really see thoughts. They're there, they're essential, they're important, but you're in a supportive role. You're holding up all the wizard's emotions and the warrior's actions by being this willful-like root structure for the greater tree as a whole. And you really see this with the banyan tree because you've got all these branches hanging up overhead, and these roots that hang down here are supporting that larger structure. So the first principle we can see is the supporting roots, and this vividly depicts the ruling nature. Then we get to look at the trunks themselves. Now these look like individual trunks. They're actually root systems that move down from the branches and support, but they're doing more than just supporting. They're actually directing the branches. If you look, the branches can keep growing and they all tend to have an upward motion. So when you're a will, that's what you want to do. You want to prop up the rest of the creative natures, the wizards and the warriors, and push them up towards ever-increasing glory and wonder. Because if you noticed, each of these downward roots that goes down into the ground, they're giving direction. They're pointing, they're upholding, they're supporting, but they're giving direction to the rest of the tree. So that's really the second principle we can see here in the banyan trees, that they direct the rest of the tree, and the roots provide that direction for the rest of the structure. Also here in the great banyan tree that's in India, there's over 3,000 of these aerial roots that kind of almost fall down from the branches into the ground. So this has a sustaining effect. The tree can keep growing and growing and growing. Why? Because more root structures, these aerial roots, kind of, it looks like they almost fall down from the tree, and they uphold this large, massive tree structure as it keeps growing and growing and growing. And that sustains the ability of the rest of the tree. So when you're a will, that's what you do. You keep creating more thoughts to sustain the expansion of the kingdom as the wizards and the warriors go forth to fill and to subdue the world. So you don't just support or direct, you also sustain the expansion of the kingdom. Just like roots do for a tree, you as the ruler are the supporting, directing, and sustaining structure for the warrior, the wizard, and the will. So a tree's roots represent the ruling will.